What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I get to wear my Nose Ring Mafia t-shirt and drink out of my Game Journo Tears mug today. Thank you, Jordan. Because we're going to be talking about a game journalist. Well, activist. Alright. I'm going to talk about Ash Parish, someone who I've actually never spoken about, at least specifically, directly, in a video before. But someone who's definitely been on the radar and is already listed on KotakuDetected for lying about Sweet Baby Inc. in the past. Someone who is really good friends with our good friend Alyssa Mercante, and someone that pushes a narrative and always seems to pull that race card because she doesn't have an argument to make. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down how Ash Parish is tweeting some seemingly very extremely racist things when it comes to talking about Assassin's Creed Shadows. And yeah, I get it. Pulling the race card out once in a while is kind of like, okay, I guess if that's how you feel strongly about this topic, maybe in your mind it is a racial thing and everyone in the world is just an awful person and hate black people, or hate a certain segment of a population, or whatever your brain is telling you. But if you continually do it, time and time again, every chance you get when people disagree with you, you kind of lose any argument you had. The controversy surrounding Ash Parish, a reporter for The Verge, deepens with her comments on Japanese society in light of the backlash against Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Shadows. Calling other people racist can actually start to point the spotlight on yourself. Let's start off with some of the things that she said. In regards to Assassin's Creed posting their 4-page apology, she said, "Y'all can quibble about if he was a samurai or whose swords he was allowed to carry. He was there. Everything else should be allowed to be artistic license." Which, okay, at that point, fair enough if that's how you feel. He was there, which is technically, as far as the history books before Thomas Lockley got to him, is true. Yes, Yasuke was a part of Japanese history and samurai lore. He might not have been a samurai and most likely was not, but regardless of the facts, okay, if this is how you feel about him, that's fair. But she continued, "None of this is about historical accuracy. You just hate black people and use Japanese folks as convenient shields." Sounds like you got a lot of buried anger right there, jumping right to that point. Because I gotta be honest, Ash, talking about this situation, diving deeper in it, it's not about racism. Or at least not about racism in the traditional sense of what people think about when it comes to racism. If anything, it's about racism with Ubisoft against Japanese people going out of their way to inject someone that really should not be a main protagonist in feudal Japan. By searching through all the history books of Japan to find basically what amounts to be the only black person in those history books that's not even a samurai, but then they tried to make him one, to prove a point and push a narrative and agenda of DEI activism into a game. So I'd argue, yes, everything is about the historical accuracy with this game. Now, here's the thing. If you don't want to put the setting of a game historically accurate in feudal Japan, if you want to do it anywhere else, I think it would make a lot more sense. People are pointing out how they're using a black person in feudal Japan, which really didn't exist. That's the problem. Imagine if Ubisoft wanted to do an Assassin's Creed in Nigeria or Ethiopia, and they wanted to make the main character white because there was like a random person that doesn't really have much history about them, but they could use that to push a narrative of injecting white people into a game. Do you not think that you'd be a little bit upset about that as a black person to say, that seems a little odd that you'd be doing this. That's a weird artistic stylistic choice. I feel like there could be more going on behind the scenes here. Isn't that a fair question to ask? But as always with these activists, don't let facts get in the way of a good story. Parrish is also listed already on KotakuDetected as an untrustworthy reporter, and she continues that logic with accusing Japanese society of being violently racist. Okay. Whoa, like, how are we getting here? First off, not to like distract and move the goalposts, but we're talking about Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan. And Ubisoft decided to go with a main protagonist of a black person that doesn't have much of a history. And you are making the leap right now of saying, let us also dispense with the pretense that Japanese society isn't itself violently racist with its own form of ultra-conservative right-wing assholes that are more than happy to carry water for this cause. Hold on, I think we've gone too far because we need to check your bio, because this sounds a lot like an activist. It doesn't sound like a reporter at all. Ash is a video games reporter for The Verge with a focus on covering marginalized gamers and their communities, writing about the intersection of video games and sex, and finding a way to make the general video game public care about the Overwatch League. What the hell is that bio even? Like, what is your purpose, Ash? Besides just getting mad, pissing and moaning about race, what is your purpose when it comes to video games? Do you even care about them? Because checking your timeline and what you talk about, very rarely, if ever, do I ever even see you talk about a video game. And that was before you blocked me, obviously, because you don't want me exposing you for the fraud that you are.
I will say that hopefully, when you are a marginalized person participating on the internet, you have a tendency to develop that kind of thick skin. I would hope people who are coming into the space that have those marginalized identities that do receive that kind of response just for being who you are, that they would have some kind of natural defense mechanism that they've already built up for it. It's terrible that it has to be that way, but that is it is of service to you. Use that instinct. It'll be good for you.
This sounds like somebody who is so angry at society and feels so beat down from societal pressures that she's just looking to lash out at anyone instead of having an organized effort and trying to figure out why her feelings are the way they are. She just wants to throw the race card around at everyone and say everyone else is the problem and a black person should be the main protagonist in every game everywhere, including feudal Japan, even if it makes no sense, because black people are marginalized voices in her mind and they need to be represented everywhere. Parrish wants to paint the picture that just because a main character is black, Japanese gamers are now racist for having concerns. Any concerns whatsoever, that's a problem with her. The backlash from the Japanese gamers primarily stems from concerns over historical inaccuracies and cultural insensitivity. I mean, you gotta take a second and just be real here. Japan cares about their culture far more than many cultures out there. And by saying that they're just being racist, it kind of just knocks them to the side and puts your aggressive racism to the front and making it seem like everyone else is not important. It's your feelings that should matter and theirs don't because they're racist and apparently you're not. It's the fact that Ubisoft decided it would be a good idea to use a black character as the main protagonist of a game set in feudal Japan. They described him as an African samurai, which many would argue lacks any historical context whatsoever. It might have even been better, still would have been ridiculous, but if Ubisoft just made up a character and just went with that and made them black in feudal Japan because they just wanted that to be the case, I feel like that would have gone over a little better. It still would not have gone over well, I'll be clear about that, but they're using a real person and making up a story about him and intersecting, crossing the streams between reality and history and a fictional story that they're making up and just talking out of both sides of their mouth like everyone should be okay with this because it's a black person and Ubisoft should be allowed to do that because marginalized voices. This has led to a petition garnering nearly 100,000 signatures demanding Ubisoft to halt the game's launch and show more respect and accurate research regarding Japanese history. There's nothing wrong with any of that. Japanese people caring about their history, and you're coming in here trying to dominate it, destroy it, and make a new one. Almost blackwash it? It's weird. It's such a weird mentality to come into someone else's culture and say, this is how you have to think, and what you have as actual history does not matter, because we're making a new story, and this is going to be what's believable. Parrish's statements have shown how she only looks at one side of the coin to fit her narrative regarding the intersection of race, history, and cultural representation in gaming. Her assertion that criticisms of historical accuracy or veiled racism explains where her mindset is really at. It leads me to believe that she does not want to entertain any dialogue about race, history, and nationalism within the context of global media and entertainment, which is just really too bad. It's approaches like this that cling to racism for attention that, unfortunately, I feel hurts any real progress when it comes to real life. But hey, maybe that's just me. Anyways, this is Ash Parish. If you want to check into her history of tweets, she's got a very long history of talking about racism and how everyone is always against her and black people. And it's almost like, I get it. There's definitely been a history of racism against black people. That's kind of obvious. We get it. But trying to use that every time it comes up, it just kind of falls flat and loses the effectiveness of it. You gotta pick and choose your times when it's actually happening instead of just blindly, blanketly throwing this card every chance you get. But I'm sure other journalists will stand up for her and say, oh, what a powerful, stunning, and brave attempt at shutting down the entire Japanese population because you feel like this is racism against you somehow. I just have a really hard time with all of this. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com for the full article. I will link it in the description below. Again, check out Jordan and his store of awesome stuff in Etsy. I will link this in the description as well. He sent me all this stuff. It was super nice of him, and I can't thank him enough. And again, thank you guys for watching. If you want to support what I'm doing here, please consider hitting that join button. And as always, you stay smashing.
Am I crazy?
Smash,